welcome back to GayFatFriend and Friends, the podcast for hot boys, hot boy summer.
Hello.
Hi. I am Todd, a.k.a. GayFatFriend, and joining me, as always, is my teeny tiny, adorable, cute, little, fun-sized husband, Rob.
Hello. A happy hot boy summer to ya.
And to you as well, and also with you. Yes, it is currently fully summer in Seattle. We are about to hit 90, which is a heat wave anywhere. It's not just a Seattle heat wave. That's a heat wave. Normally, a Seattle heat wave is like 78.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to hit 90.
Although, I mean, seriously, compared to the rest of the country, we are not really allowed to complain, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, we only have heat for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was warned when we were moving up here that, like, you know, very few houses have air conditioning here because there's, like, 1 week of the year where, you know, your windows and fans don't cut it.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone kind of just prepares for that one weekend where it's going to suck. But, like, we are such former LA apartment people that we have window units. So,
yeah. And, like,
you know, and we're able to shut off a room and just kind of, like, hole up in that room with an air conditioner if you need to. Like, yeah, I mean, like, my first apartment, I lived in my bedroom for the first summer with the like
in LA?
Yeah, with like the blinds drawn, air conditioner cranked, me and and my little pug at the time. It was just the two of us, and like literally we just stayed in bed and like read all day during the summer.
That's the thing. I was like, I feel like I need to learn some heat wave activities because I feel like I'm not doing anything, and like I'm one of those people that feels like they need to accomplish something in a day to make a day worth it, which is not real. That means nothing. You can lay in bed all day and still have accomplished life. Because I also love to bed rot. But we're recording a podcast. That's accomplishing something.
It's something.
Yeah. I hate hot weather. As you know, I'm sure I've talked about it before. I run hot. You used to run hot. I mean, literally, your nickname was my little dragon because we met during Game of Thrones.
Well, I was always hot to the touch. And
you were always warm, always sweaty. You slept hot. You rarely had a cover on you while you slept, even in air conditioning. Yeah. And then we move up here.
I got cold.
And the switch just flipped. And now you're just a precious little cold baby all the time.
Yeah.
And like,
I don't mind the heat though. I mean, it's funny. As a former desert kid, I just got used to it. Like, I mean, I'm used to, you know, mid 90s to 100 kind of heat.
But
I'm also used to dry heat, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've never lived in a humid climate like this where, like, there's literally just moisture on everything.
Well, it's fine because, like, yeah, I think we may have touched on this before, but, like, when I moved from the high desert to Los Angeles, I thought Los Angeles was humid. Like, well, compared to what I lived in, it was.
Well, that makes sense.
It was actually humid. And so I wasn't used to any humidity in the air at all. And so having, like, just the slightest trace of it, I was like, oh, LA is humid. And everyone's like, no, it's not. And, of course, and then whenever I go anywhere where it actually is humid, I'm like, oh, LA's not humid.
Yeah.
But, like, to me, though, when I first moved there, it was. And so I think that was a big surprise. And so, yeah.
Well, obviously, I grew up in Missouri, which is one of the most humid places on the planet. Like, outside of Louisiana. And so I grew up with humidity in my bones, but then I lived in LA for so long that my body chemistry just completely reset to a desert climate. So now that we're living in a humid climate again, it's just like I sweat constantly. You know, I have shower sweats where like I'll take a shower and it takes me like an hour to dry off sitting in front of a fan afterwards because I cannot stop sweating. I hate it so much. But yeah, I run hot and I hate being hot. It's like my least favorite feeling next to like having the stomach flu. I hate being hot so much because you can only get so naked, right? Like when you're cold, layer it up, get some blankets, cuddle up, you know,
start a fire,
hug a loved one. Originally, people like Rob were bred to warm beds in like ancient Italy, you know?
I'm not an Italian greyhound.
But yeah, when you're hot, you can only get so naked and then there's nothing else I can do. And, you know, sometimes we fight about it because Rob will be like, I'm cold. And I'm like, too bad.
And also, I mean, I feel like this could just be like deja vu, the podcast for me, but you know, it's our lives here. We live in this
because we're talking about nothing.
Yeah. But also, I mean, like, you know, you love a fan, not just like, and I enjoy, I enjoy moving air. But like, for me, though, and I think I don't know if it was the pandemic or what, but I realized I have a lot of sensory kind of issues.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten to the bottom of that.
But it's not like I love, but it's fine. I like my music loud. I'm into a lot of, stuff that is very like sensory overload. But at the same time, also, I hate walking into a room and just hearing that drone.
Oh, I love it. I have listened to
it
on Apple Music and on YouTube. I'll just put on a fan noise. I love it. But I also love ASMR. Like, I have ASMR in my body. It works for me. But we currently have 2 fans locked in on our bed right now. We record this in our bedroom. I'm looking at the bed. We have 2 fans pointing just laser focused on our bed right now.
Which I will say, at least, I think I enjoy some of the auxiliary extra air movement. I don't think I'd want it directly on me. But I get a little bit of the sort of blowback or whatever.
Yeah, they're mostly focused on my side of the bed. So,
and so I get a little bit of that air movement, which is nice. And luckily, I can sleep through most things. And so, the drone annoys me for a minute, and then I fall asleep.
I can't sleep in silence though, and I never. I mean, for the longest time, I was afraid of the dark. We've talked about it before. Until I met you, I slept with the light on.
Yeah,
I don't like the
deafening silence. Yeah,
I don't like the silence ever anywhere, even when I'm awake. Like if I'm in the living room, a TV has to be on. I prefer a fan on. I need noise. I need air moving. Otherwise, I just feel trapped. I don't know. It's weird. It's like a claustrophobia thing.
It's like I'm fine with noise in a room as long as it's noise I'm controlling, I guess.
Is it claustrophobia? Claustrophobia.
Claustro.
Lost it. I don't know.
I think it's claustrophobia. Yeah, it's claustro.
God. People are probably screaming in their cars right now. No!
Final answer for me, claustrophobia. Good answer, good answer. We'll have to check that later.
Oh, now I said it too many times, and now it means nothing. Those are just sounds coming out of claustrophobia. Nope, that's not even a word. I ruined it.
The word that always happens with me with that still is wind. W-I-N-D. After twice if I look at it on written down, I'm like, that's not a word. Well, that's just a mishmash of letters.
That's weird because it's also one of your biggest enemies.
Oh, I hate it.
You hate the wind.
Actually, that could be the reason why.
You hate the wind.
About it.
But I told you, whenever it's windy, just hold on to something tight and it won't take you away.
I don't trust it.
I mean, I'm trying to solve life of a little man. I know that there's many obstacles. I'm trying to figure them all out for you.
Yeah. I wear giant shoes. That should weigh me down.
Yeah. Also, besides the wind, we also have to watch out for large birds. Because
you
never know when they might pick you up and take you away.
I'm still convinced the birds in our neighborhood are planning something.
They are. They're trying to take you.
Yeah, they're coordinating their efforts.
Well, it's because you're little and adorable, and everybody deserves a Rob.
What if that was the thing of which is the reason why the crows and the hawks are always at war?
They just want a Rob.
Well, they're both fighting over who gets to take me away.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there is I'd say every 2 to 3 weeks, there is a full-on just caw kind of
bird war
raucous happening outside, and you walk the dog and you see there's literally crows coming from all parts of the neighborhood, all toward one tree, where there's one tree where everything is swirling and crazy, and it's usually a bunch of crows attacking a hawk or a falcon of some sort. But it's usually 1 or 2 big birds versus dozens of small ones.
Now I'm picturing 2 Sesame Street big birds in a
guys,
fight, just a fight to the death.
No, guys. Yeah, well, everyone's just coming at them.
Oh my God. You're the bird king, and they're all just trying to win your favor.
I didn't even realize I had that power.
This whole time you've been afraid of them, and they just wanted to worship you.
It's the longest origin story ever. I mean, if I'm a superhero, people have literally been watching this thing for 40 years, just being like, so long. When is he going to do something with this?
But seriously, we have witnessed several bird wars, just hand-to-hand, or I guess wing-to-wing combat all over the place. Wait, is that what people are talking about when they say Seattle is dangerous? It's just dangerous for birds because there's a lot of bird knife fights and stuff.
And maybe
that's what they're talking about.
There's collateral damage of it's that thing of when 2 dogs are fighting, you don't take them apart. You don't get in there.
You don't get in the middle of a
So maybe the thing is maybe it's just maybe some poor unfortunate souls have just been caught in the middle of a tempest of bird activity.
Yeah, too many bird wars.
That's how rumors get started.
And I'm happy to start them. But yeah, back to window.
This is why 2 men with microphones are a problem.
Yeah.
That's why people say that on the internet.
Hey, I'm not a man. I'm gay. Leave me alone.
Sorry.
But yeah, back to window units. I love a window unit. I grew up with window units because I grew up in a house in the middle of the woods on a farm, nowhere near central AC. No one has central anything out there. It's all wood burning fireplaces for the winter and window unit air conditioners for the summer. And so, yeah, I have that slow freezing hum of a window unit just built into me, and I need it all the time. I love window units. We have one of those. It looks like a dorm fridge with like a big crinkly tube coming out of the back and going out the window for our bedroom. That's our bedroom air conditioner because we can't do like a full on through the window unit down here in the basement. But then upstairs we have just the good old push through window unit. Remember the day we installed that?
Oh yeah, that was so frustrating. It fell to the ground and I lost my shit.
Yeah,
it was like the last straw for me I think I was.
It was
going
already
through a lot
like a
that
bad
day.
morning. Yeah, it was already a bad morning, and then I was like, we need to install this air conditioner that we got at Costco, and it was like $400. Or no, did we get that at?
I don't remember.
I think we got this one at Costco and we got that one at Best Buy, or vice versa.
Oh, don't say that though. I'm confident it's not that.
Vice versa.
It
Reese's
is not.
Pieces. Just all the trigger phrases. Anyway,
you want to make a guesstimate while you're at it, or you could care less.
No, you couldn't care less.
No, couldn't care less is the correct phrase.
Oh, God damn it. See, here we go. Now I don't hear anything. I don't know. What are we doing? Are these words? What are we talking
Now you just have to misuse the phrase aesthetic and I will die out of just pure fury.
Well, this conversation isn't very aesthetic right now. So but so anyway, we live in kind of a split level. I don't know. We live in like the corner side of a hill very oddly. So like our back door ground level, our front door halfway ground level, our garage door underground. Like nothing about the sides of our house are really normal. So where we had to put the air conditioner was about 3/4 of a story above the ground. I don't know. It was, if I was holding the air conditioner outside of the house, it would be above my head. And so installing this window unit was
a challenge
and a chore. The window that we put it in has the highest, weirdest windowsill ever. Like I had to go to the hardware store twice to buy like shims to shim up the windowsill to make it even, of different little planks of wood, because the window unit itself wouldn't just sit in the window. And I hate that. I hate when that happens because they have these like, we have special vinyl windows, whatever. I digress.
I'm bored.
I'm sure everyone else is. But so I had to do all this work to install this window unit, quite heavy for the size of window unit it is. I mean, she's a trooper and she cools off our house, but she's not that strong. Like we could have gotten a bigger BTU window unit.
Well, and of course, like because of the general sort of skill set of what each of us have, it ended up being a situation where I was the one standing outside supporting this because I didn't have the skill set to be the one securing it in the home.
Yeah, and we couldn't get it level in the windowsill.
And so because of that, of course, is why, like, I think I misunderstood that I wasn't supposed to be supporting because I thought you had it with the window pinned down, so I let go.
Yeah.
Luckily, it didn't kill me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it fell out the window onto concrete, and we thought, great, just broke a $400 window unit air conditioner that we need for an upcoming heat wave, because I'll be damned if I'm going to live in a house without a little help of air conditioning. Even though we only needed it for 2 days, I was like, I will have an air conditioner for those 2 days. God damn it.
Yeah.
But
and I think it cracked through the control panel, but it didn't break it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It got some cracks. It got some dents. It got some bruises, but it's fine and it works.
It got some personality out of the deal.
Yeah. But it was funny. Like, when we dropped it out the window and it hit, just Rob was like, that was it. That was the final straw. That was the air conditioner that broke Rob's back.
Well, and I want to say, like, it was one of those where, like, I didn't even want to install it at the time, but you were like, we're installing it now. And I was like, fine. And it's one of those things where, like, you're doing a chore against your will. You know that this is not the best way to be doing it, but you're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But on top of that, there must have been something else that morning that was just kind of bothering me. And so, yeah, it was the final thing. And I was so... And before we actually plugged it in and got it and made sure it worked, I was just like, great. By the time we get it installed, we're going to find out it's broken. And then we're going to do all this again.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to try to find another unit, but because it's summer now, impossible to find.
Yeah.
You know, we bought it in the off season because we were smart.
Yeah. We bought it in the off season when there wasn't a high demand. So we did get it for like its lowest price. We kind of waited a long time. Like, it sat in the basement in its box, brand new, weighing 1,000 pounds for a long time. And finally, a heat wave was coming, so we had to install it. But it was so funny because as soon as it fell out the window, just instant tears. Rob was just like, "My life, I can't do this anymore."
Yeah, I was like,
but
fuck
we
this,
also
I'm
like
done.
we had like the most stressful 2 years of our lives leading up to that, so it was definitely like a breaking point. And I was like, no, please don't cry. We don't have time. So we had to work through that really fast. That was a real fast work through, but we got through it.
Yeah.
And now it's been in that window for 2 years.
Well, it's like a permanent feature now.
I mean, there's a lot of screws, a lot of shims, a lot of tape.
It doesn't get taken out for the summer or for the winter. It gets wrapped.
Weather sealant.
Yeah, it gets winterized.
Yeah. A lot of staple guns. But you know what? She's safe and secure. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and that window is not going anywhere either.
Nope. And yeah, there are times when I wish we could use that window as like just open the window and let the air in. But no, I am never, until we either buy this house or move, I am never removing that air conditioner from that window.
It's so much work.
She's in there. That's where she lives now forever.
Yeah.
It is funny though, because, we live in a very windy neighborhood, which... Rob's favorite fun fact is that Chicago is not the Windy City.
Well, we
are 10 times windier than Chicago.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, for its nickname of being the Windy City, there are many places that are statistically windier than Chicago.
But we get some like pretty hefty windstorms in this neighborhood, especially being very hilly. And it's funny, in the fall, the wind will just shoot straight through that window unit and be like, it's windy in the home. There are no windows open, and it is like a windstorm in here because it's coming through that air conditioner. But yeah. Oh, I love window units. Meanwhile, you desert kid grew up, everything is central air.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I don't really recall any of the cooling situations in Las Vegas when I lived there, but I'm positive it had to be central air basically everywhere.
Yeah.
But like,
I can't imagine you could live just in a house or an apartment or anything in Vegas without air conditioning, even a window unit. Like, I don't think you can live in a building there.
The other solution, this was the 80s. So like, I don't think it was everywhere yet. I think a lot of people, especially like lower income people, use swamp coolers. And especially in drier climates, swamp coolers work. And so, because when I lived in the high desert, first off, and you're going to find this adorable, I was so short that I never even considered looking at a thermostat because they were actually mounted so high that they were like an adult thing, and I was so short for so long that I never even thought about it.
That's amazing.
In the situation when we lived in a house where like
tiny person origin story.
Well, and also I feel like the house was always like reasonably temperature controlled, and like so
somebody took care.
I'm guessing in that situation, like we were of a financial security and also like reasonable comfort. Yeah. That, like I don't remember it being cold in that house, but it was fine. And then when my mom became like a single parent again, that's when it became like just leave the curtains closed. Just leave the blinds drawn. Just keep the house dark as much as you can. I mean, my mom was never home, and I like a dark house, so it was fine.
You do like a dark house.
I do.
You like a dark room.
I like just the dark. And so, we use the central air, I think, like barely. But then I remember though when my mom got the house when I was in high school, and it was still just single parent situation, but like it was one of those where it's like if something happened to the car, it's like, well, some bill's not getting paid this month. Like, what is it? Kind of a, level of, living paycheck to paycheck. And at that point, air conditioner was off the table. Like, I remember it being just like, nope, you don't use it. And my aunt gifted us with a swamp cooler from Sears. Yeah. And it's funny because that's when I learned how swamp coolers work.
That's another, for me at least, that's another major West Coast, Las Vegas, deserty thing. I had not, until I moved to LA, I did not know what swamp coolers were.
Well, and the swamp cooler was really great because at least since my mom traveled for work for a living and she was gone most of the time, it was basically just me at home with a friend of my sister's who was an adult. So I had a credit card and someone over 18 in case of an emergency, but officially I was basically by myself. So I would turn on the swamp cooler and shut every door to the house and open my bedroom door and my bedroom window a crack. So I was doing basically the whole house fan situation where you get at least the coldest air you possibly can get blowing through as much of a direct path as you can where you are, just to sort of, get out of the house. And swamp coolers, I believe, only statistically can drop the temperature of your house at most 10 degrees. So like literally if it's 100 degrees out, it can only like blow 90-degree air, but still that's nice. And so like it's funny, there's a lot of photos I have somewhere of like our dogs basically just like moved in front of the swamp cooler, and they would just like lay there and just sort of get like the coldest possible air they could get as soon as it came in the house.
Ruby's been doing it with the window unit. She's been laying in front of the fan on the window unit, like right at a spot where she can get that cool air. I mean, she's already a hot dog as it is. But.
Yeah. But like I learned how to deal with, with heat. But it was also that dry heat. And so like honestly, just, like it's amazing how much like a cold washcloth on the back of your neck and then standing in front of a fan can just do incredible work.
I feel like you're one of those county fair salesmen that's selling me on a swamp cooler right now. Honestly, whenever you say the word statistically, I'm like, what are you trying to sell me?
Well, and swamp coolers are so cool. They're cheaper to run than a refrigerator.
Fun fact.
No, like, they are super cheap to run.
You pull out a brochure, you're like, here, let me just give you this literature.
I mean, they do have problems. They're basically blowing moisture into your home. So the first thing that happened to us was our piano went horrifically out of tune.
Oh, that's moisture related?
It can be. I mean, there's a lot of things that can drive a piano out of tune, but moisture is one of them. And so it was one of those, they warned us. They were like, your piano's going to not tune well, and honestly you can keep tuning it, it's going to keep going out of tune quickly. And we were like, no one plays it, it's fine.
I'll say that's a first world problem.
Well,
if I ever heard one.
My sister has that piano now and no swamp cooler. She's fine. But at the time that was just like, if you want to do, I guess, like ragtime, you got the piano for it. If I want to start doing like saloon tunes,
you want to do an Avett Brothers album,
right? Yeah, you want to live your Westworld dreams. Here you go. Years before Westworld, or not before the movie, but before the show.
Yeah. Well, we had to do the today. We had to do the studio trick where I turned on the air conditioner in the bedroom and shut all the doors and the blinds and stuff, sealed it up for a good hour and a half of hardcore cooling before we recorded because we had to turn everything off. And I don't know if I'm getting boob sweat. I get a lot of under boob sweat in my t-shirts, so
it's not too bad.
Smiley face on my shirt by the end of this, but
you look fabulous.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, we had to do the. I learned when working on RuPaul's Drag Race, you turned the air conditioning as low as possible for as long as possible, and then when the cameras start rolling, you have to turn it off. And it's so funny how hot a room can get instantly when you turn off air conditioning. It's just like 10 degrees are added to the room within the first 10 minutes.
Well, and we're not even dealing with studio lights, which are hot.
Hot.
Well, I mean that's the reason why like what most plants on set are fake, because like lights will kill them. I remember like when we did a TV ad so long ago with Braddock, with our pug.
Oh, when we did the Modern Family thing?
It was one of those things where like I remember like even in that soundstage, they're like, we crank the air, you come in, you sit down, kill the air because it's too loud to record during. But like if you're not recording, like they want to cool as much as they can.
Well, that another thing I learned when I was working on Drag Race in the studio system. And Drag Race learned it too because they had just moved to the studio at the time. Because everything's filmed digitally on SD cards and stuff, the server room that held all the footage where they were processing all the footage and, dumping all the SD cards and stuff overheated, and they almost lost some footage, which happened to them, in Australia? Didn't they lose?
Oh,
the second season of Australian Drag Race?
Well, because that's why Art Alexis, is that their? No,
came back.
Had to do they had to shoot their lip sync where they lost like 3 times.
Yeah, they had to redo the lip sync where they already knew they lost.
Yeah, where they got sent home.
But yeah, on Drag Race, the server room got so hot that they had to bring in almost like refrigeration quality air conditioning. And I remember all the producers and the directors and stuff had to wear big ski parkas in the
DIT room, basically. Or
what's it called? The booth, studio booth. While we shot the show because it was so hot, the servers were crashing. So,
but I'm always amazed how loud some digital cameras are. Like Red cameras are loud, but also they operate just like we were talking, where like they run their fan unbelievably loud, and so while you're shooting, fan at least I think quiets or goes down, but as soon as it stops recording, it's like we need to cool this thing.
When you watch raw drone footage and all you hear is the drone blades. You're like, oh,
everywhere.
What a beautiful shot. And then you hear how it was filmed. And it's like, because it's in a drone.
Yeah.
But yeah, this stuff, I mean, I have a ring light and a fill light. Our computers
but like, at least we're dealing with,
LEDs mostly.
Yeah, LEDs. So like not a lot of heat generation.
I have a fire behind me.
Man. Well, so that TV is probably giving off more heat than our lights are, just given the fact that the TV technology is hotter.
Yeah. We do have a lot of lights on right now. Oh, there's the fill light behind us. So, yeah, keeping it hot as me running hot and you, a former little dragon. What are you going to do? Anyway, I think that's enough talk about
the heat.
Home cooling. That just thrilling, riveting conversation about home cooling techniques.
Well, and also another fun fact that I learned, which I mean...
You love a fun fact.
Seriously, feel free to correct me because this is one of the things that like I've been telling everybody, so who knows. Because I was hearing that like one of the reasons why in Seattle so few houses have air conditioning is because even if they do have in-wall ducting, a lot of it is meant for like heat pumps for
winter.
For the winter, and apparently your ductwork needs to be I think 30% larger for an HVAC kind of air conditioning situation.
Oh,
and
so, I figured it would have to be smaller.
More
concentrated.
And so at least I'm hearing a lot of homes that are trying to add like central cooling to them are basically having to gut their walls for the sake of like rebuilding larger ducting inside. And so I don't know if that's real or not, but I've heard at least with I think that's why a lot of Seattle homes don't have air conditioning, but they are adding it. But it is like
a lot of retrofitting.
It is one of those like, cool, we're going to redo the home.
Well, we would have to do those fancy, like all of our neighbors have those fancy built-in window units, which we had a built-in window unit in LA. It was so nice.
But we had 3 of them.
Yeah, but it's the long. I think like they're made by like Honda.
Mitsubishi.
Literally think, Mitsubishi. The built-in like long top of the roof line kind of built-ins.
Exactly. I guess we didn't have any of those long ones. We had the more square ones, but like it was literally they cut a hole in our wall to install them,
and it's like wired. Like,
well, and that was fascinating because that was a combination air conditioner and heater. And so, yeah, like during the winter, we used the same machine.
First day of winter when we turned it on, had to burn off all the dust and all the smoke alarms go off. Excuse me. But yeah, that was good. I was going to say earlier, the thing about Seattle, there's no air conditioning, even in like grocery stores and movie theaters. Like normally during a heat wave, you can go to like quote unquote cooling centers. I mean, they have actual cooling centers, but you can go to a movie all day. You go to the mall, you can go to a grocery store. Up here, there's not enough hot weather to necessitate that at all. So like when we first went to the grocery store in the summer, we're like sweating and I was like looking around and there wasn't really a lot of ductwork and you could tell the checkers were like uncomfortable. And I was like, do you guys not have air conditioning? They're like, no. We don't have air conditioning in the grocery store. It's like, that's crazy.
I mean, they have refrigeration.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, not everyone gets to work right there.
But I was like, you know, normal cities, you can at least count on going to the mall or the grocery store or like Walmart or a movie theater to cool down. But like our movie theater doesn't even have air conditioning. Well, it's wild.
And clearly we had cooling centers though, like for extreme cases. Cause I know like
which are like community centers.
The 100-degree weather that we luckily
elementary school
missed
gyms
before we moved up here.
Oh yeah,
was
it was like 116 or
like
something.
It was at least it was over 100, which is crazy for the area. And so like that was the thing where I think they had literally community centers and like cooling plans in place. We missed it because we were literally en route up here. And then like what, a month later it hit like high 90s, which was still dangerous here. And luckily at that time though we lived in a place with central air.
That was the funny thing. We moved into a brand new apartment building when we first moved up here, and one of their like they kept saying like, and it has air conditioning, and we were like, yes, very excited.
Which we only really needed.
And then we
like
learned later that like even like big apartment complexes don't have central air up here. They're just now adding it to the builds, but yeah, it's just wild living in a place where like air conditioning isn't the norm.
Yeah.
And we just hit our 3-year anniversary, and my body is still not used to it. I still need to be cooled and fanned like Nero while the flames are happening. Well, right? That's the right story, right?
I don't know. Well, it's so because even like I've always had a weird relationship with the weather here because I remember even like before we moved up here, at one point like I was here for work and I went out to dinner without my hoodie, and I walked out like and it had gotten cold. And all of a sudden,
as soon as the sun sets, it's freezing.
I walked out to like 50-degree weather wearing a t-shirt. And I was like, reasonably fine. I was like, oh, I would be miserable if it were 70 degrees in Los Angeles the way I'm dressed. And meanwhile, it's like 50-something here. And I was like, oh, yeah. Of course, now that was like years before we moved here. Now, if it's, under, I don't know, 70, I'm miserable.
Always cold.
Seriously, always cold. But
which is weird because you're covered in like a very thick layer of fur.
But it justifies my hoodies.
Always have beanies and hoodies on.
It justifies my 3/4 length sleeves and hoodies year round.
Well, that's the thing too about like a true heat wave in Seattle. So like I said, it is going to hit 90, but at night it's only getting down to like the 60s, which normally it can be 85 during the day and 51 degrees at night. Like as soon as the sun goes away, it's going to be like cold and cool and nice. But But a true Seattle heat wave is when it doesn't get cool at night and it's just hot all night long.
Which is funny because 60's been like our high for the last like 3 weeks. Like I feel like we've been kind of just dancing with like mid 60s to low 70s, and all of a sudden it's just been like a boof. Like, here you go.
Yeah, here's 90-degree weather for 1 week. It'll be back to 72 in like 4 days.
But still so dry. I'm ready for some rain, though.
The forecast right now is a high of 72 in 4 days. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know. It doesn't rain in the summer in Seattle at all. Like, it probably won't rain again until August or September, if that. Probably like, September.
The lawns are so dry.
Yeah, everything turns blonde. All the grass is dead.
So crunchy.
I have to water all of my flowers so much.
I
definitely learned, like, I planted a bunch of flowers last year, and the watering schedule was so much work. And so this year I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that. I got my hanging baskets. I've got my potted plants. They're all near the water source, and I just water them quickly.
But I do love how much everyone here has embraced the seasonality of lawns.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, also a lot of houses don't have built-in sprinklers.
Yeah,
so it's a thing of like,
if
you want to put in the time, you can.
The people across the street and the people down the street had built-in sprinklers, but they moved, and then the new people don't use them ever.
Yeah.
So, like, every lawn in our neighborhood is just brown and blonde because...
No rain.
No rain and no sprinklers.
Yeah.
Because it's like, seriously, 9 months of the year, tons of rain and mist. You don't need to install irrigation for just 2.5, 3 months.
Well, and also, not to keep banging this drum, but the water here is really expensive.
So expensive.
And so a lawn is kind of a luxury, especially when nature takes care of it for 3/4 of the year. So you're fine.
Well, and also no rain means grass doesn't grow, so I don't have to mow it. And that's the dream.
That is nice.
Because our lawns are just annoying to mow. They're all
There's
weird
a lot of
90-degree angles and up and down.
The fact that like only 1/3 of our lawns can be mowed without somebody lifting a lawnmower
up to another platform
elevation. Is very telling about what a pain it is.
I can only mow 1/3 of our grass
by
alone.
yourself. Yeah.
Otherwise, I have to have someone help me lift the lawnmower, or the lawnmower is going to get broken because I'll just have to drag it upstairs.
Or we'd have to like build a ramp, and frankly, that is
Operation Dumbo Drop.
That is a huge plank of wood that we do not need to store.
Yeah, right? Stupid.
We got enough problems in our lives.
All right. Well, I think that's enough about cooling and heating technology and the weather of Seattle. I think it's time to move on to our final segment, which is What's Your Order? What's Your Order? If you're just tuning in, if you're new here, I have here our trusty blue Rip and Dip shoebox filled with it used to be filled with America's favorite restaurants, but we've gone through every restaurant. Now it's locations, ideas, situations where food would be involved, and I'm going to pick one out, and then we're going to talk about what our orders would be. So, Rob, I don't know whose turn it is, but it's going to be you. So, would you be so kind?
Yeah. Whoa.
Got a Julia Roberts too. All right. And today's topic is
airplane or airport snacks.
Oh, bing, 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 bing. That's a big deal. Travel snacks, especially in the airport or airplanes. I get the same thing every time. I don't know about you. But I have a very strict airport snack. I used to, and like clockwork, I used to go to Walgreens, get all my snacks, fill up my backpack, and that would be my traveling snacks. But now I've gotten to a point in life where I don't like doing that as much. And so I wait until I get to the airport, and I always get the same things.
And those are?
So I always like to get the resealable bag of Cheez-Its. I think Cheez-Its are the best airplane snack ever. I definitely don't like to eat a big meal in an airport because I'm afraid of having to go to the bathroom on a flight. So like I don't like to eat a big meal in an airport before a flight unless we have tons of time. So I like to get Cheez-Its to snack on because they're savory and delicious. They're perfect on the plane. They go great with ginger ale, which is my airplane drink. You got to get ginger ale in an airplane. I mean, there's been studies. It just hits different. Ginger ale, it's fancy. It's crisp. It's refreshing. It makes you feel like you're having like a cocktail, but it's just ginger ale, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then
I do feel like I see a disproportionate amount of ginger ale ordered on planes.
You got to get ginger ale on a plane. You have to. It's the law. And then I always get a bottle of Smart Water for $18 or whatever it costs at an airport, because you can't bring water through the gate, or through security. So you got to buy water in the airport. And I've been burned before because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get a water this time. And then 3 hours into the flight, I'm like, I am so freaking thirsty, but like, I don't want to have my tray table down. I don't want to, we've already done beverage service. You know, I don't want to bother a flight attendant. I wish I had a bottle of water. So I always just get a bottle of water, like always have a bottle of water on a plane. You never know. And then I always, whenever I'm on a plane, I always like to go through the scenarios of like, okay, if we crashed on a desert island, even though we are not flying over water at all, but I'm like, okay, if we're about to crash on a desert island, what do I need to survive? How am I going to be the guy that everyone comes to for help?
Oh my God, I would so not want to be that guy. Just leave me alone. But also, I mean, it's funny. I can't believe just the thought. I mean, my brain has an equal amount of I don't want to say wasted cycles, but a lot of other scenarios playing in my head. None of them are the ones you just mentioned, which is fascinating.
Oh, what if you possibly crash?
Yeah, I don't really think about that.
But also like a light crash, like to where you survive.
I'm assuming if we crash, I'm not happening anymore.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like the apocalypse. I'm running towards the bomb.
Right. Like, seriously, I'm sorry. If there's a crash, I'm pretty sure that I'm
get those zombies biting this neck as quick as possible. Yeah. I don't want to live through that.
Seriously, like I want to see the people I care about suffer. Just take me out of here.
Yeah. So yeah, Cheez-Its, have to have Cheez-Its. Bottled water. Occasionally, and it's rare, but I will swap out Cheez-Its for Chex Mix. I don't know why, but like sometimes I'll be on a flight. I'm like, I need Chex Mix right now. And it is the only place I eat Chex Mix, really. I know that you're a big Chex Mixer, but a flight is one of the only places where I eat Chex Mix, and sometimes it has to be like those little brown, the Melba toasts, the best part. Oh, that and some ginger ale. That's the best part of a flight.
You mean, wait, no, the rye chips.
Yeah, the rye chips.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is gummy worms. I have to have specifically gummy worms, not bears. I need like some Trolley Brights, Sour Brights, or just some like Black Forest regular fruity gummy worms. But I need a gummy worm on a plane. I don't always eat them, but I need them in my backpack just in case, because sometimes you just need a gummy worm on a plane. I think it helps with ear popping, just the chewing of gummy worms. But I just love gummy worms on a plane. I'm sorry you're so bored right now.
No. I was just listening. I'm just listening.
But yeah, so Cheez-Its, Chex Mix, bottled water, ginger ale on the plane, gummy worms, and then I'll usually get one of those giant Hershey bars just to have just like a big thing of chocolate if I need it. Now, I don't normally eat all this stuff on a plane.
Yeah.
But I do like having it. So it's nice to like have those options in your backpack.
You do have usually a pantry going on in your backpack.
I do. And like I said, I used to go to Walgreens and get it all, but now I'm like, I don't want to lug all that through security. I'll just get it in the airport. And so that's my airplane snack order.
Well, geez, money bags, buying all this airport food.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
What do you?
Well, and I wasn't bored. Honestly, I was thinking, and one of your answers stole one of mine. Thanks.
Chex Mix.
Yeah, because and it took you forever to pivot to it. Like my overall airport stuff is obviously I'm going in empty-handed, or I'm going in probably with a can of soda, which I'm chugging before security.
Yeah.
Because I always have a road soda, and like literally a road soda. That's not a euphemism for a beer. So go through security, and then first thing I'm doing is if I got time and there's a Burger King, I'm going there. Like,
oh, that's right, you love an airport Burger King.
I love a Burger King.
True.
And but airport Burger King is kind of, it hits better than an airport McDonald's. You pay out the ass, but usually it works, and it's good, and like
well, and we've talked about it before. There's no Burger Kings near us, and it's one of your favorite fast foods.
Totally. So. Like I grew up like being a big Burger King fan.
If you have access to a Burger King and time,
oh yeah,
you're going to Burger King.
Going to Burger King, and even like I like their breakfast. So like if I'm there in the morning, which is usually when I'm at an airport, it's fine. And like if I'm there at lunch, also great.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and they're fairly prevalent in the airports that I'm at. Like I feel like we have one in Seattle. There's one in Vegas. Like I feel like a lot of the airports that I end up at either for work or whatever just end up having Burger Kings. Well, I guess it's the Seattle one I'm thinking of, because it used to always be I was flying back from Seattle back to LA before we moved here. So anywho, if I'm going into a Hudson News.
Wait, what do you get at Burger King though in the airport? Because like your Burger King order,
it's highly specific.
Do you get the same thing? Usually I feel like it's like always combos.
No, I'd probably just be doing like chicken fries here, like chicken fries.
Oh, in the airport?
Yeah, or something simple. I mean, like, or if I can do my custom burger order, I'll get like a side burger. But like often they don't do individual menu items. They just have a simplified combo system.
Yeah.
So then it becomes like a chicken fry kind of thing, which, like I love a chicken and a fry situation. So like
they don't have a lot of a la carte options.
No,
usually you
that's
just
the one
got to
bummer.
get a number 4 and that's it.
Although their breakfast stuff is usually like pretty solid just on its own. Like if you want to get like a croissant sandwich or French toast sticks or whatever. So yeah, but if I'm going to a Hudson News, like this is like golden era trip to the airport, Rob. When I was like a teenager traveling by myself, I would usually spend the money and get like a $10 video game magazine that I had never read before. It was like my favorite thing. And it just gave me something to do at the
Before
gate.
phones, back in the day, I loved a magazine at the airport.
The
like
dream.
Rolling Stone, GQ. Like that's when I would get a magazine.
Seriously. And so I would read Men's Health just to be like, fuck it, why not? Like I'll learn how to get these abs I'm never gonna have.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, like love a video game magazine at that time. But anyway, so now if I'm going into Hudson News, I'm probably getting a thing of Chex Mix, like beeline for Chex Mix.
Yeah.
Original flavor. Fucking love it. I enjoy Cheez-Its as well, but like Chex Mix are the number one.
Yeah.
And then
there is like a Cheez-It Chex Mix.
Which I don't want that.
I want the like Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
Blue classic Chex Mix.
Yeah. Like there are some things
Savory bomb
that are fantastic on their own and do not ever need to be mixed.
Yeah.
But like, more power to you if you like it, but I'm okay with, and I think they're both great on their own. What else? Occasionally I'll get like a candy type of situation, but like that's a rarity. It depends on, it's highly specific of what I'm into. If it's going to be something fruity, gummy, chocolate, whatever.
You have a very sporadic, rare sweet tooth.
Although I will say, and because I don't think this fits, this technically I guess is maybe sweet, but like the other alternative that I would go for if I did not get a thing of Chex Mix would be something probably close to it if they have it, which would be the like shareable bag of individually wrapped wintergreen lifesavers.
Yeah, that's right.
I can go through a bag of those like chain, like what the equivalent of chain smoking is of
you
those.
You don't binge eat anything, but the wintergreen lifesavers you will just eat nonstop.
Just grab it, and
you also chew on ice. I think
squeeze
it's
the package, and they go in my mouth, and like I can suck on it for maybe 15 seconds before I can't do it anymore, and I have to chomp. Yeah. And like I will literally just constantly chew through them, and I think I've done like I made a gesture on camera for anybody of like the square bag. Like I can go through one of those in probably 30 minutes. I have done the rectangle bag on my own.
Just munching on some wintergreen
within a day. Like I don't know what it is. And this is a fun little side story, like just because I love a tangent. I knew that people could be allergic to peppermint and spearmint. I did not know people could be allergic to wintergreen because I thought wintergreen was a made up like chemical flavor. I didn't think it was a naturally occurring flavor.
Yeah.
Just because like I knew peppermint was, I knew spearmint was, but for some reason I thought wintergreen was not a naturally occurring.
You thought it was synthetic.
Yeah. It's just too good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how could it not be fake?
It's my favorite of all the mints.
So fun fact. Before I met this wonderful man, I was seeing someone whose parent I did not necessarily get along with very well.
Didn't she call you fat?
She insinuated that I was fat, yes. Which is fine. I had no problem with that, but I was taken aback.
Yeah. Anyway.
But anywho, I found out later, because like I loved wintergreen, and I keep saying wintergreen because that is the branded version of Lifesavers.
Yeah.
But like I literally loved them, and I remember at one point I was going to the store. I think I was going to the store just to get like to fill a bowl because I wanted them in the home, and the person I was seeing was like, oh no, with my mom coming to visit, you can't get those, and I was like, why? I assumed it was just some personal bitchy thing because that was like the standard for them, and he was like, oh no, she's like extremely allergic to wintergreen, which I thought was hilarious. That my favorite thing was literally the kryptonite of one of the most unpleasant people I've ever met.
I would have slipped it into everything.
Oh, seriously. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where obviously like I would never use my powers for evil, but like how could you tell me such information of somebody that is so shitty? Like, anyway.
Yeah.
Wintergreen lifesavers. So that is a thing that does kind of slow me down of getting those on planes, because I'm actually kind of realizing that might be like peanut level for some people, which that's one of those things that I think about.
I don't think that many people are allergic to wintergreen.
Right, but it's funny. I had no idea that could be a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the other thing that you eat like that is peanuts. Like, you will eat an entire jar of cocktail peanuts in one sitting if given the opportunity. Yeah. It's so funny.
Oh, but then, the other thing at airports, back to the topic. I'm sorry, I got so distracted.
No, it's fine.
Vending machines.
You do love a vending machine, a non-traditional vending machine.
But like, also, I will buy a metal bottle of water from a vending machine.
Because you love aluminum bottles.
I love aluminum bottles. But also, like, I like a bottle of water too. But I usually get either Smart Water or some sort of aluminum bottle. That, like, honestly, I'll get a brand that I don't care about for the sake of a weird vessel.
Yeah.
And I get those usually from vending machines. I love a vending machine that accepts either tap or a credit card. It's the future, even though it's not. It's just now.
Well, it's not real money.
Yeah, right? I love it. But yeah, like, I love a vending machine that sells custard, ice cream sandwiches, Kindles, Uniqlo jackets, electronics, makeup, cupcakes. If it is a vending machine that has something weird in it, I'm going to at least stand in front of it.
Yeah.
Like, and just admire and then move on. But like, you have no idea how many times I've been like, do I need new earbuds? This Best Buy machine is right here.
Yeah, the Best Buy machine has always been fascinating to me.
Do I want to buy an empty iPod that I can't load before I get on this plane? I might want one.
Well, also, you love the act of shopping. Like,
I do.
You love just, like, you could just stand outside of a Best Buy and shop for people and be happy.
Yeah.
But did you actually buy a Kindle from a vending machine once?
No.
We just talked about it forever.
I thought about it.
And then the Uniqlo, we never did either, right?
Well, the Uniqlo situation, honestly, and this would have been the thing that would have solved it. All they had to do was have sample jackets next to the machine.
Yeah, because we never knew what size you were.
Because yeah, especially like I'm a weird size situation where like I could be anywhere between, like, I hate to say it, I could be anywhere between small and large, depending on how you want to interpret how a man should be.
Well, in Uniqlo's Japanese sizes, which are the smallest of all sizes.
Exactly. So I want to say I think a medium or maybe a small side of a large when it comes to them. It's fine. I'm not even sure. I'd have to go check. And even in that jacket, we bought in a store so I could try them all on.
Yeah.
But it was one of those where, like, I would have to know what size I am because, oh my God, I wanted to buy one from a vending machine so badly.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to. But like, yeah, I feel like I need to like write down my size in case I ever want to get another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love a vending machine. And then, but yeah, and if I got time, it used to be that I would like down 2 beers at the bar because
that's the thing.
Flying while slightly buzzed is great.
Yeah. If we have time, I will drink alcohol. Like I'll get a glass of wine or some beers or something. But I tend to not. One time we were starving and we had a ton of times when we went to the Chili's and got chicken strips.
Which that was one of the best experiences.
So fast
I
and
still
nice.
think about that server. He was one of the most pleasant but like very
kept
efficient
checking on us
people.
for sauce. He was like, "You want more ranch?" Like no one ever asked if you want more ranch,
especially at an airport. Oh my God, that's the place where you
and
get
it was
the
all
worst
via the
service,
phone
typically. And
like
yeah, they were so good.
You ordered through the phone, you paid through the phone, like you didn't have to do anything. And so he checked on us so much, and it's like you didn't even have to be here.
Right? Seriously, this could have been. You were fully allowed to forget we existed, and we would have been accepting of that at least.
But especially if it's a short flight, like LA to Vegas or, here down to San Francisco or something. If it's a short flight, I love an airport cocktail. Ugh, it's such a treat. And I'll even get one on the plane too, especially if we're in like first class or something. Oh, I'm drinking on the plane.
Well, I feel like we do so many flights in the early part of the day where like that's why I'm usually not drinking.
Well, yeah. It can, if you do it wrong, it can ruin your day. Because you're like, hi, I know we just got here, but can I take a nap? But, yeah. Airport snacks. They're a thing. They're very specific. I feel like a lot of people get the same thing. Because I feel like I see a lot of people eating various weird foods on planes. And I'm like, I bet you do that every single flight.
Seriously, like, I'm convinced that a lot of these people do not buy jerky. Unless you're
right?
going on a plane.
Some things you only eat on a plane.
Right? There are some things, like when I was a kid, I always had gum. Because, it was that thing of like, well, if your ears don't pop, chew some gum.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And so, like, I feel like as a kid, I always had gum.
The weirdest I have seen, I saw an old lady one time just whip out like 3 hard-boiled eggs in the shell, peel them and eat them on a plane, stunk up the plane. And then the other thing was when people bring on like Chipotle and just, I'm like, do you not have any? I know that you have to eat and live your life and whatever, good for you. But do you not have any spatial awareness that you're just opening this hot bowl of Chipotle on a 4-hour flight?
I feel like the woman who busted out the shelled hard-boiled eggs was mostly doing that as like a technicality of like, I just want to bring these through airport security because I can.
Right.
That just feels like a weird flex. Good on you, lady.
Yeah. I mean, a hard-boiled egg is like a perfect road trip kind of, if you think about it, proteiny snack. But
yeah, comes in its own container.
You do that on your own. You do that alone or around loved ones only.
I'm sorry. Again, on a plane, it's okay to suspend normal activity for the sake of doing a little bit more sanitized, I gotta coexist with these people activities.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's okay for you to kind of drop your meal prep for a day if that's what you gotta do.
Oh yeah, I have seen bodybuilders also whip out just like containers of ground, cooked ground chicken and rice and just down it on a flight.
I mean, like, at least that
you have to feed your body that.
At least
intensely.
It has no scent. Like that literally, there's nothing there.
True.
Like that's the equivalent of them eating packing peanuts. Of just like,
Yeah, food is fuel, as they like to say.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, that was another exhilarating, fun episode of Gay Fat Friend and Friends.
The ups, the downs, the twists, the turns.
Right? We spilled a lot of tea in this episode. Get ready for some backlash. The message boards are going to go crazy.
How could you say so many things so brave, yet so controversial?
Well, somebody had to do it. And
he says what we're all thinking.
Yeah, right. But thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know what your airport snacks are, because I guarantee, like I said, everybody has the same snacks for every situation.
I liked that addition to the box, by the way. I think that was an
I added
interesting
that last
one,
night.
because it's a highly situational and very unique thing. Because it's funny, I love Chex Mix. I rarely buy it at home.
Yeah, we only eat it on planes.
If I'm on solid ground, Chex Mix just doesn't have the same draw.
And then if you are eating it on the home, it's usually a leftover bag from a flight. Oh, sorry. I just hit you with my Bob Dole
It was
pen.
mostly the microphone, I think, that took it.
But yeah, if you're eating Chex Mix in the home, it's usually because we had it left over from a trip.
Which, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I know that we already kind of said goodbye, but this is now one of my long goodbyes.
Oh, no, we said goodbye, and then we have to walk to the parking lot together.
Shit. Well, and I'm
God.
the worst at this. I say goodbye, and then we inch toward the door for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Have you ever made homemade Chex Mix?
My mom did. Susie did all through the 80s and 90s. I mean, that was the only way to get it. For a long time. They didn't sell it in the store until like the 90s.
Because like I don't think I'd ever had Chex Mix when I saw the commercial.
That and like Puppy Chow were like the original kind of party mix.
Which I've only heard
and
of
I think
Puppy
it was
Chow.
on the Chex box of cereal.
Like I think I've only heard of Puppy Chow. I've never actually had it. And I think the one time I saw it, I want to say, does Puppy Chow actually like mix together and kind of coat each other in the process?
So it's like peanut butter and chocolate, and then I think you like melt it in the microwave, and then you drizzle it over Chex, and you roll it around so every Chex, and then you put enough powdered sugar in it that each piece gets coated so where it doesn't stick to each other.
So I want to say Puppy Chow I think leaves a residue on fingers, or it looks like it would.
It's powdered sugar and peanut butter.
To the point where I was like, and also like I think I wasn't in the mood for anything sweet at the time.
Yeah.
But like, so I'm always intrigued by Puppy Chow, but also like I think I would need a bowl that no one else is touching. But like Chex Mix, I remember seeing the old animated Peanuts commercial where they talk about how to make it in the microwave. And I remember being like, what is that? Yeah, and then later I tried it. And I was like, I remember like being like, what is this weird thing? And I remember at the time, like I hated the rye chips. I still hate the pretzels in Chex
Now that
Mix.
I think about it, I hated it as a child and haven't had it as an adult. And so fresh might be good. Because yeah, Susie always made it for like parties and stuff. Because that was the only way to get it. They didn't make pre-bagged Chex Mix, and that was the whole shtick of Chex. It was on every box of cereal were the recipes for Puppy Chow and Chex Mix. And you like coat it and all this stuff, and then you bake it in the oven, and then you let it sit. And there was a whole process to making Chex Mix. And as a kid, I hated it, but I might like it as an adult now.
I almost want to try it because seriously, it's like I like Chex Mix, and I think fresh Chex Mix would probably be even better. Plus, the idea of it being warm, kind of compelling.
Yeah.
And then, but it's funny though. Here's the thing where I was gonna go with it is like I don't think I've ever seen the small breadsticks or the rye chips on their own. Like there's a lot of that stuff where I'm like I don't even know where to source the ingredients for them because I think Chex Mix has become such a prepackaged commodity now. It's not like I feel like the prepackaged Rice
was
Krispie
that
treats,
part of the original recipe?
I
don't know.
I don't know.
Because I don't think I've ever seen those rye chips.
Was it just fine
alone?
Like assorted dry
I think
goods?
it was pretzels, Chex, and peanuts. I'm pretty sure it's the original recipe.
Because I wonder if they only got fine assorted dry bits and bobs around the home, toss in Worcestershire and bake.
Yeah. But I want to say the original recipe was just Chex pretzels and peanuts.
This is the moment where people are screaming at the recording, or hopefully putting in some comments, because honestly, like, we could Google this. I do need to learn about Chex Mix and the history thereof, because this is interesting to me now.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Later this summer, we do have a vacation coming up. We should maybe that could be one of our vacation things to do in our Airbnb is make homemade Chex Mix. That could be fun.
That could be interesting.
But all right, well, yeah, let us know if you've ever made homemade Chex Mix and what the recipe is and if it's worth it. And
do you still make it, or do you buy the prepackaged now?
Yeah, does anyone wear hats anymore? And does anyone make Chex Mix? And on that note, thank you guys so much for listening and for watching, supporting, liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. I'm Todd. This is Rob. And you know what? We love you. Goodbye.